And our last question comes from Warren Allsworth. Is Leonard Gates the best player without a tour card right now?
Oh, that is a good one. And some might say the answer to that question is a 16-year-old by the name of Luke Littler, the way that he played at the UK Open earlier this month and the way he's been playing for a little while, not just at a youth level, but on the senior circuits now as well. But yeah, I think Leonard Gates is a very good shout. I'd put Robert Thornton in there as well. So you've got the two winners of the two senior titles on TV so far this year. I think they're going to be high up on that list, and someone else who I think is going to be high up on there, and I'd probably go with him as my answer to this, and that is Barry Van Peer, because he's having a brilliant year without the tour cards, and he's only just dropped off the tour, but you look at what he's done this year. Won the Dutch Open, he's won a Challenge Tour title, and I caught a bit of him on the Modus League this week as well, and playing some really good stuff on that as well. So I'd put them four in there. If I'm going to go with a five, and it'd be interesting to see if you put these five together who would finish up on top, but I think Jelle Klaasen deserves to be in that mix as well. So Leonard Gates, yeah, he's going to be in my top five, I think, but for number one, I'm going to go with Barry Van Peer at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Leonard Gates is a very good player, but I don't think he's the best right now who doesn't have a tour card. I don't even think he's the best senior player who doesn't have a tour card. I think that still has to go to Robert Thornton, and you might even put the beaten finalist Richie Howson ahead of him as well. Leonard Gates had a great weekend. Also look at what did he do across the two senior tour events over the weekend, and he lost in the last 32 to Mike Huntley. He lost in the semifinals to Neil Duff, and he averaged under 85 and a touch under 85 that against Huntley, and he averaged 78. One of two matches over the weekend where he averaged under 80 against Neil Duff. He did have 102 against Superman Matt Clark in the quarterfinals. Not a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination, but that's not the stuff that the best player in the world does that often. To have two matches under 80 across 7 matches, 4 matches out of those 7 matches where he was under 86. Granted, he didn't have to play as well, but I think that's pushing it to say he's the best. He's a very good player. His A game is as good as anyone's who hasn't had a tour card, and he's overall, by playing more steel tip recently and challenging himself more, we've seen him reach his heights or close to more often. But there are quite a few players, including almost any of those players who have won a challenge tour already this year, that are ahead of him. I think John Henderson, obviously another good weekend. You mentioned Barry Van Peer. I think Jelle Klaasen, we didn't see him at the most recent challenge tour weekend because of a snafu in entering. But I think there's quite a few players I would put ahead of Leonard Gates right now. But he is a very, very good player. And is he in the top 20 of players who don't have a tour card? I think there's a very strong argument that, but I don't think he's the best without a tour card. But even if he is the 20th best, any of the 20 best could beat any of the others, and it really wouldn't be that big of an upset. If he were challenge tour eligible, it would not surprise me at all if he went and won one or two of these nights. But he's not, so we won't get to see that. But a great achievement for a very, very good darts player.